Guys, it is finally here. We are getting another PlayStation showcase next week. The last one we got was in 2021, so yeah, this is a bit overdue. Sure, we've gotten State of Plays, but they cannot compare to the showcase that PlayStation puts on. This one's going to clock in at a little over an hour. That's close to the PS5 reveal showcase runtime. Needless to say, I'm trying to keep expectations in check, but at the same time, we could be in for a super jam-packed showcase. Alright, no more wasting time, let's just get into what I think we could actually see at the showcase. Starting with the first party titles. The big one, Spider-Man 2. The game is still supposedly set to release this year, and we know next to nothing about it. I'm expecting a huge deep dive into this game. Big CGI trailer, big gameplay demo, and I fully believe that it's going to blow us all away too. The first game was insanely good, and so was Miles Morales, so to say that Insomniac has pretty big expectations to meet is a massive understatement. But I think that Insomniac is more than capable of pulling off an incredible sequel. While we're on the topic of the Insomniac Marvel games, Wolverine is a very strong maybe for me. The only reason I say this is because I don't want it to show up and just be another short pre-rendered trailer with no release date in sight. I would rather them wait until they have something ready to actually show about what the game is like, but if they are ready to show it, I would absolutely want to see Wolverine make an appearance. Like, I'm hoping that Wolverine shows up, but I'm not getting my hopes too high. Moving on from the Insomniac games, The Last of Us 2's multiplayer game could also show up at this showcase, and I'm really curious to see just how massive this game really is. It's for sure at least going to be a much bigger multiplayer experience than Factions from the first game, and I hope that Naughty Dog is able to ride the momentum the series has gotten from the HBO show and really put out a stellar game. I'll admit that I wasn't a massive fan of Part 2, but I'm still fully invested in what this IP has to offer, and I'm optimistic for this next title. And oddly enough, the games that I've just mentioned are really the only first-party titles that we know about fully, and we still have a big showcase to fill, so the rest of my first-party predictions are going to be pretty speculative. Starting with something that I haven't seen people talking too much about. What the hell has Team Asobi been working on? The last we heard was that their next title was going to be their biggest yet. I would be willing to bet that it is a full 3D platformer for Astro Bot. Not something tech demo feeling, but a fully fledged 3D platformer. If this game does potentially get shown off at the showcase, I would also love to see Astro Bot Rescue Mission brought over for PSVR 2. That game is an incredible VR experience, and I would love to see it brought over. I might as well make a quick tangent about PSVR 2 while I'm on the topic of it. I honestly don't think that we're going to see much of it at the showcase. I think we'll see a few big titles and like a sizzle reel to really convince people to buy the hardware, but it won't take up much of the showcase. I could see a few big hitters like maybe some more Resident Evil VR experiences, maybe a port of Half-Life Alyx. That could be a huge grab for PlayStation, but beyond that, I don't think that VR is going to have much presence in the showcase, despite what Sony says about, oh, it's going to be one of the main focuses on the PlayStation showcase. No. Sony got this out the door, and I don't think that it caught on as much as they had hoped. So we're going to see a little bit of it, but I definitely don't think it's going to be a large focus of the showcase. Okay, so getting back to the main PlayStation Studios titles, I think that we could potentially see a few titles that we don't even know if they exist for sure. The first of which being a new Uncharted. I know that Nate's story ended with 4, but they left the door wide open for Cassie to take over as the series protagonist. Uncharted is a core franchise to the PlayStation brand, and I can't see it just dying off. However, the game is absolutely not being made by Naughty Dog. I feel like that's a given at this point. I think that this could be good for the series though. Having a new studio come in and give their take on the franchise could really be what the series needs to come into a new era. I also think that we're going to see what Sucker Punch has been cooking up. As much as I would personally love for it to be a new Infamous entry, the more likely option is a sequel to Ghost of Tsushima. The first game was absolutely incredible, and Sucker Punch completely nailed it with the combat system and overall design of the game. I don't think that a sequel will be coming out anytime soon, but a tease at the very least feels like something that we could definitely see. So the final first party title is sort of first party, sort of third party. It's been rumored for a very long time. It's Bloodborne. a Blue Point remastered Bloodborne for the PS5. I genuinely cannot believe that we have gone this long without a proper version of Bloodborne for the system. Fans have been begging for it for years now, including myself, and it's about time that we finally get our hands on it. I also think that this would be paired with the long-rumored announcement of a PC port for the game. It just makes sense. There have just been so many rumors about this game coming out on PS5 and the PC port. It's kind of like the Metroid Prime rumor with Nintendo. It's one of the worst kept secrets, I think, at this point. I mean, you've had so many different people come out and say, like, yep, it's real. Some people have said, no, it's not real. If it's real, if it's not, like, either way, I think it should be something that is real, and I think that Sony should release it, like, now. I want it badly. So anyways, that pretty much does it for the first party titles I wanted to talk about. There's plenty more that I would love to see, but there's only so much that Sony can put in these showcases, and we still have to talk about third party. Let's get the big rumor out of the way. The rumored Konami deal with Sony, Metal Gear Solid 3 Remake, Silent Hill 2 exclusivity, and a new Castlevania game coming to PlayStation. I think that the rumor is real, or at least some of it is. We already know about Silent Hill 2, and with Metal Gear Solid 3, it feels like there's been so much going on about it that it just has to be real at this point. Snake Eater is such a good entry in the series, and to see it remade for the PS5 would be a dream come true. I'm assuming that it wouldn't be handled internally at Konami, and would instead be handled by a studio like Blue Point. I think that they'd be the perfect fit for it. As for the Castlevania rumor, I'm not so sure about it. It feels like it was sort of tacked on to the existing rumor of Metal Gear, but I would absolutely love a new take on Castlevania. If it is real, I would hope that it's a brand new take on 3D Castlevania, and something fresh, not building off of the Lords of Shadow, like almost like a soft reboot of Castlevania, bringing it into the modern age, sort of like the Ninja Gaiden series on Xbox 360. And then we have Square Enix. Starting with Final Fantasy, I don't think that we'll get much more of a push for FF16 considering that it comes out next month, but I think that we could definitely see a demo after the showcase. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, however, we're gonna see for sure, I think. Square has to start ramping up the marketing for this game if it is still supposedly coming out this winter. That feels crazy to say, but if the release window remains the same, we need to start seeing more about this game. Now, the other game that Square could show off is one that feels like it has a very slim chance of happening, Kingdom Hearts 4. I think the game could potentially be at least far along enough for us to see a little bit of gameplay, maybe showcasing one of the new worlds. I feel like the game is still pretty far out, but Disney and Square are both listed as being part of Summer Games Fest, so there could be the possibility of them showing more of a tease at the PlayStation showcase, and then doing more of the extensive stuff with SGF. Either way, I really want to see more about this game. I think this showcase could also be a big opportunity for the major fighting games to show their stuff. Street Fighter 6 could show off a bit more, Tekken 8 could get a spotlight, and potentially a release date reveal. And now that Mortal Kombat 1 has officially been revealed, I would not be shocked to see the official gameplay reveal at this showcase. With Sony owning Evo now, I could definitely see Sony trying to push the PS5 more and more as the definitive place to play these major fighting games. And I think that there's way more that we could see at the showcase, but these are just the games that I personally think have the biggest possibility of showing up. There are so many more games that I would personally love to see, like a new PlayStation All-Stars, older PlayStation IP being revitalized, more big third-party reveals. But we also have Summer Games Fest coming up as well, and that's yet another opportunity for Sony to show off even more for the PS5. I think it really comes down to the idea that Sony really needs to make a big push for the system. I love my PS5, but I still don't think that we've reached that point where Sony has convinced us that we need to own one. I think there's a high chance that we'll reach that point once this showcase is done, and I hope that the PS5 will finally hit its stride. I can't wait to see what gets shown off at the showcase, but for now, I think that's enough out of me. If you guys like this video, feel free to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Later.